So that's very, very helpful to work with your animations as well. We can undo from here, or we can go back within the history. History is going to be very, very useful for you. You can use the buttons here at the bottom to go backwards. And you notice that we're changing a lot with the layer visibility, as you can see here. So it's really up to you where you want to go with that. You might want to come all the way back here to where we deleted the layer set and then start from there, or continue to move forward wherever you want to. You might even want to bring the history out so you can see what the layers look like while you're manipulating those things. That could be very helpful because you know you have your layers open at the same time. Or drag it here to the bottom, you'll see like a little black line here that wants to catch it, and then you'll have your history, and that's going to stack things up, as you can see. And then just create this as you need to. Make it to a certain height if you wanted to. Also note that you can also step through the frames here at the bottom of the layers, which is very helpful for getting to the next frame, so you can quickly get to work and start manipulating things as you need to. That's helpful as well. Now we'll continue a little bit here. We're going to play this from the beginning and see that we have that pop up and play. Then things loop back after a few seconds. So how do you control the seconds from the animation? Well, you can control it, like I said, looping overall, looping the number of times forever or once, and then you can control individually each frame how long it's actually going to play for you. So in this particular case, we play the first frame for 1 second, we play the next frame for 1 second, and then we just quickly go through without delay, as you can see here, no delay, for each of the remaining frames up until the last frame. So you could have a delay here, but since this is tweening, you don't really want to do too much of a delay with your tweening because it is a specialized type of animation and it's creating a subtle effect, and it's something for the eyes, a visual effect for the eyes, and it's not something that you want to change that speed of or change the delay of. But you could if you wanted to. And then on the last frame, you have to select in the area of the frame. You can just see that we have it set to 5, which is going to delay on that last frame before it loops back to the beginning. So it's handy to change each frame as you need to. And then, like I said, you can just play your animation as you want to. You have to stop it before you can select again. And this is going to play within a certain range within ImageReady. It may not be so accurate for you, so you want to actually do a preview here. As you can see from the toolbar, this is going to preview in Internet Explorer. You could change it to support other browsers if you wanted to. And first I'll show you the Optimize palette, which is another important palette that you're going to be working with within your work here within your animations. You're going to use this right away. Now, you see I have it set for GIF. Now, if I had it set to anything else, we would get something strange when it actually went to preview it in the browser. You're going to get this warning here that says that the JPEG ping and the WBMP, this is not going to support animation, so ImageReady will only save the selected frame instead of actually creating an animation. So no big deal, because you know that you want to create something that's going to be GIF, and you also will be working with the file export to Macromedia Flash. And this is going to allow us to work with the different Flash settings to get our animation to work as a Flash output. But we will set it to GIF, and you want to reduce the colors to something that's going to be optimized. You do want to preview each of these images here. You can look at each in the optimized version and also look at different versions. If you were to expand this, you can take a look at the different versions that you can take a peek at within this nice little ability here to work with the different versions that are going to be output, so you can see what it looks like right away. But the trick is to monitor each frame to make sure it doesn't look too pixelated. And you might want to get your monitor down to 800 by 600 if that's going to be your lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator is going to be somebody that you're targeting if their browsers are the limits, the lowest limits of what you're going to target as far as the screen height and width. And then you can get a realistic view of what that image is going to look like to them, because to you, if you're using something really, really high, this is 1024 by 768, so it's not so bad. on the eyes and it's not so bad on your monitor, you can really see what's going on. But if you were looking at something in a monitor like 1600 by 1200, which is pretty much my standard now when I'm doing any type of work outside of 3D, that's where I stick. And it doesn't necessarily give an accurate view based on what somebody with a smaller browser might see. So you might see some anti-aliasing effects and things like that that you might have to tidy up, and some more pixelation based on the optimizations that you might have to tidy up a bit. Just keep that in mind. You want to look at it in 1024 by 768 or 800 by 600 if those are the lower ends that you want to work with. Dithering, at this point, you can have dithering off for the most part, unless you really need to target older technologies, older computers and users. And if you need transparency, of course, you're going to have that on. And there are additional options as well that aren't necessarily going to be necessary for working with the animations, especially if you're outputting to Flash. Alright, so that's pretty much the beginnings of getting this to work. We'll just preview this. And you can see that that's going to present our animation. And it holds on that last frame. And also worry about the background color, what that's going to be. You can't control this if you're creating advertisements really for other websites and things like that. You can't control what their web pages are going to have, but you get the idea. And here we're going to have the output size, the dimensions, the format that you're going to have, and settings that you have set up, as well as HTML when dealing with just some quick HTML that you can get ready. No big deal. And also, if you notice that that first frame there isn't so long, I would actually have that first frame with a longer time here. So you can pick other and specify 3, and then you can just preview again. And note where it's getting output to a temp directory and for image ready, target preview, saying target preview 17. Note that we have target preview 16, so it's outputting a new window each time it does that preview. So just keep that in mind too if you're alt-tabbing and you look at the wrong preview, for example. So now you can see that it'll loop back around after a couple of seconds. Longer preview here for this first frame. And then it slides in and does that little bit of work there. So 5K for something tiny like that. Not a big deal, but the tweening is nice, and the tweening really helps. We'll talk about that as we move forward. And that's pretty much getting started with your animations. Like I said, you want to make things nice and tidy. Work with your layers and create layer sets to make things work really nicely for you. And do take advantage of the layer styles. Now, you don't want to use all the layer styles, of course. You do want to stay away from your shadows. This is just going to add overhead to your animation banners because these are web banners. They need to be small. If you have more freedom, of course, then you can work with that a little bit. But, like I said, they need to be small. So, tight and small. And you really need to take care when doing that. And a lot of them outside, like outer glue, for example, things like that, it can really help spice up your text. But at the same time, glowing and gradients doesn't help so much with keeping your file size down unless it's really, really tight. But gradients, any type of gradient work is going to be troublesome. Beveling, things like that, that's not something you want to do either. Gradients, unless it's just the background that's going to be static, gradients I would stay away from. But the background overall could be worked out nicely if you just have that set and used through most of your animation. Stroking's always good. This is going to be good for your animations as well. And like I said, drop shadow, no go, really. So that's it for getting started. Do take advantage of layer styles as you need to, but do keep things tight and flowing so you can get this going in a really great way.